order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is...
Labor rights came out in their hundreds, their thousands to pack the National Arena and its environs on Sunday for the party's 81st annual conference. And what a show it was. The speakers, from all accounts, didn't disappoint. And then the Prime Minister's speech had the goodies rolled out for the benefit of those in his party and, of course, those outside Jamaicans whose favor he's trying to win ahead of the next general election. So how did the analysts see it? Did the JLP hit the mark with their show of force and strength on Sunday? That's what I intend to interrogate today on Lead Story. Let's start the show. So the JLP's 81st annual conference was the big ticket in town on Sunday, from Sunday morning to Sunday afternoon. And from all accounts, the labor rights didn't disappoint. Neither were they disappointed with how the conference turned out. A massive crowd at the National Arena to herald the arrival of the party leader Andrew Holness and to cheer the speakers who took turns talking about the achievements of the administration so far. The fact is that the show that the PNP put on in September was incentive enough for labor rights of all stripes, of all classes and categories to come out and show that they were united and fully behind their leader, seeing as they did the show of strength that the PNP put on in September at the same venue. The production, no detail was spared for the production, and no expense appeared to have been spared either, because it was a rather elaborate setup that suggested that the JLP spent a tidy sum putting the structure in place for a show to be had. And the Prime Minister came in, he spoke about water, goodies for water, discounts for those who are owing on their bills or whose services have been disconnected. He spoke of a reduction in the GCT on electricity from 15% down to 7%. That's approximately a 53% cut. It's set to rake in, well, the government is giving up billions of dollars to do just that for the people. And he also spoke about the issue of transportation and what his administration will be doing for students in rural Jamaica. We prepared a package to just set the scene for today's show, using in the package the events from Sunday.
Thousands of laborites outfitted in green took to the National Stadium for the 81st annual conference of the Jamaica Labour Party. No sign of a dampened mood after Friday's 2 by-election losses. The JLP bussed in scores of its laborites who would fill the National Arena and the grounds of the National Stadium with excitement and political jubilation. Some would say the supporters overflowed the banks and no rain could hold these laborites down. The Prime Minister declared that this conference would be the last before the election, and the party pulled out all the stops. The memo banning vuvuzelas either ignored or not received, as excited laborites outside blew and rang bells to cheer on the speakers on the platform. On the platform, no space for the humility, as the JLP bragged about their accomplishments since taking the helm of government in 2016.
When we compare 2015 to today, we are well ahead and Jamaicans are better off.
The party's General Secretary reminding supporters that it was the JLP administration that led the country through the COVID-19 pandemic.
After that devastating impact on the country, we were led effectively and successfully by the Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, dealing effectively with a challenge that gave our country a major problem.
The young and fledgling Labourites unleashed their political wings, showing their chops at the platform, taking aim at the opposition PNP.
Because we hear them a chat about say, PNP build Jamaica. How is Jamaica them a talk about? History shows how the People's National Party wrecked Jamaica. You see me? Me no old girl, you know. And me no know who them a try to take for idiots. Because I am old enough to remember how the People's National Party taxway left, right and center.
And the political banter took some flavor from social media colloquialisms.
What did they do? What did they give to us? One piece of pasta. When we consider all that the Labour Party has achieved, we can say to the other side, do this and beat we. Put us to the test.
The marquee speaker, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, took to the stage, continuing his case for a third term and laying out his policy agenda. Holness making it clear his priority is easing the burden of bureaucracy in the public sector and the public in accessing services.
We will be active and strong in cutting red tape and bureaucracy, which holds up and frustrates your prosperity. We are going to be active and strong in removing the legacy requirements and outdated requirements which place a burden on you and increase your cost of living. We will be active and strong in implementing innovative ideas and technologies that increase the efficiency and effectiveness in delivering prosperity.
The Prime Minister even announced amnesties for delinquent Water Commission customers.
For persons who have been disconnected from the NWC water supply, for debts 2 years or more outstanding, who are pensioners or who are assessed as being in need based on the path beneficiary identification standards, the NWC will write off totally the debt that is owed.
The goodies continued with the promise of reduction in electricity taxes with the intention to ease the burden on businesses and residential consumers. To sum up the case for the JLP for a third term,
JLP ever, PNP never.
So much things to say right now. We got so much things to say.
well, Mr. Holness will have a lot more time to lay out his case, and Jamaica heads into the general election constitutionally due by 2025. We discuss the conference in Lead Story.
All right, let's take the break, and when we come right back, I'll introduce my guests, Dr. Nadine Spence and Roger Bennett.
Of the year for 2 days only, November 29th and 30th, up to 50% off this Black Friday. Pop-up deals offering 30% off selected items until December 2nd. Follow Bashco on all socials at Bashco Jamaica for more information. Mark your calendar and subscribe to Bashco YouTube channel for not miss the biggest sale of the year. Bashco, the store that gives you more.
What's your story? What's your sign? We're dreamers. Don't care what other people say. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive. We come alive. We come alive. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
with us on Lead Story here. I get right to it. Dr. Nadine Spence and Roger Bent are with me. Roger Bent, was there anything that impressed you, anything you liked, anything you did not like from the JLP's spectacle at the arena on Sunday?
Pleasant evening, George, and pleasant evening as well, Dr. Spence. In terms of what I liked, I could see clear uniformity. I was attracted to the fact that even the party leader was dressed in the same raiment as everybody else. I felt that was really a show of unity all the way around. I could also sense the atmosphere. It was one of excitement. People kept talking about a third term, and they seemed excited about it. That was a good show for messaging. There was also a synergy of pointing to the worth of the workers, especially women in the organization. And I think that in 2024, that's a good thing to advance and to talk about. They made up a show of showing the representation of women and the anticipation of more women serving in Parliament. That's a good thing in 2024. I also felt that the Prime Minister did creditably well. He was relaxed. He didn't come with a script, which is not normal. Normally, he speaks for a very long period at the podium. He didn't do it this time. So he came with a kind of conversance that was different. There was some level of arrogance too. I think that this idea of he talked about an overflow and, the cup being more half full than half empty. I think that was a little bit of a hyperbole. The Jamaican people are not feeling an overflow. They're not feeling as if the glass is half full. They're feeling the emptiness of the glass in our everyday kitchen table issues, in how we access services in this country. That was a slight on his part, in my opinion.
Dr. Spence, the keynote address was, of course, the Prime Minister's address, 51 minutes long. Was it worth the billing from your perspective?
It was. I think for me, when I heard that, the moment the Prime Minister started talking and started mentioning the cost of living, I thought, okay, so he's getting it. He's getting the fact that you cannot come to the conference and talk about your achievements without speaking to the reality that Jamaicans are facing. That people, despite the increase coming from the public sector wage increase, despite the stable economy, despite the infrastructural development, people are suffering and people need help. People need relief in their pockets. The money that people are earning is not going far enough. Despite the low unemployment rate, people are feeling the pinch. And so his presentation was about alleviating people's stresses, talking about the electricity relief. The big news for me was the electricity, GCT on electricity from 15% to 7%.
Yes.
It was a recognition that he needed to substantively address the issues of the Jamaican voter, the people who vote the most during elections, who are complaining that they need relief. So I think it was well worth it. When you look across the world, governments are finding it difficult to come up with responses to the high cost of living. So the question for me now is, are these measures adequate enough? Could the government have gone further? What else should we look for? Although he kept saying there is more that we could do. And I think Jamaicans want to know what is the more. How can we live better with what we make? How can we not? All of us in Jamaica are feeling stressed in our pocket.
Yes. And for those, Dr. Spence, who said, as Roger said, that, look, pocketbook issues now are the dominant conversation piece at any gathering, whether inside your homes or in a social space, the totality of what the Prime Minister presented in his presentation, would that go in any way or serve in any way to make people accept that the government is trying to do better by them?
Yes, man, because I heard people talking about this morning. People want to know, what is this? How is this going to impact my light bill? How is this going to impact my water bill? What is that? People are thinking, what other things the Prime Minister, it has now led people to say, oh, so them can do things about, them can do something about other things. I heard somebody this morning saying, perhaps we need to start asking for GCT cut. You know what I mean? So I think people recognize now that this very specific thing called the cost of living has to be dealt with in a very strategic and programmatic way, and that the same way governments can bring down high interest rate or can deal with unemployment, they can also respond to matters of the high cost of living so that they alleviate people's stress.
I need to take the break. Thank you very much, Dr. Spence, for those responses. Thank you, Roger. Stay where you are. We're going to take a break. Come right back. This is Lead Story on CVM TV.
Challenges are everywhere and things are constantly changing, but independent living remains the same. Rising above physical challenges, we can help you do it. For years, we have been Jamaica's trusted provider for solutions to improve patient care, safety, and the general quality of life. No matter your age or your physical limitation, we are the caring store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
Fan Central Pitchside, brought to you by Edgecam, in financial cooperation, Connex Services, Texaco, Jamaica Stock Exchange, and Sunshine Snacks. No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Getting feedback from Dr. Nadine Spence and Roger Bent about the Prime Minister's presentation at the JLP 81st Annual Conference on Sunday, and about the conference overall. There were several speakers on the bill, as you would expect. The Health Minister spoke, the Agriculture Minister spoke, the party chairman spoke, the General Secretary spoke, and there was a common theme of talking about achievements. Roger Bent, I want to ask you, some critics have said that, look, what they heard from the platform from the JLP on Sunday was boasting about what they've done. But I ask, is there any thin line, or is there a thinness of the line between talking about your achievements legitimately and boasting? And how did it come across to you? Were the JLP speakers correct to talk about what they've done, given that this is election season, or did you see it as them boasting about their achievements?
I did not see it as boasting. I think that at a conference, that's what you do. You highlight what the good parts of the work you do. I think the real issue for me would have been 8 years into the work, whether or not all of this accomplishment is being felt by the common man. Are we feeling it, and do we necessarily see it as such a good thing? What they have branded as accomplishments, are we calling it accomplishments in our everyday lives? I have question marks around that. But as it relates to whether or not they were highlighting their good parts, I wouldn't consider it to be, if it is boasting, it's a good part of boasting. It's what you're supposed to do. But whether or not it's being felt, and whether or not the sentiment is shared by the average Jamaican, is another issue.
Dr. Spence, when you go as far as to say that the things the Prime Minister announced on Sunday in terms of the GCT, the water, the transportation, those three things especially, and then the comment from the party chairman, Bobby Montague, about treating party workers better, those things would represent what is on the ground, what is being said on the ground. So those two comments on those two issues from the men respectively, does that suggest to you that the party appears to be listening to what grassroots is saying in terms of their workers, their party workers, and what ordinary Jamaicans are most concerned with as they prepare to be asked to choose at the polls sometime next year?
I think all of the JLP's responses yesterday, if you look back at our criticisms of how they have handled their stewardship, has been around has indicated that they've been listening. Was it last year that we had the local government elections?
February 24th this year.
Yeah, we felt a lot of us said that the JLP was doing very poorly at talking about their achievements, that they were not behaving as if they were a government that had done so much in terms of stabilizing the economy and was getting so many accolades for the work that they did. And I think clearly what we were hearing was them listening to say you must take the time to articulate what the progress has meant for Jamaicans. That's one. The second thing is when you talk about party workers and so on, you could tell that JLP people after the local government elections felt as if they had been left behind, felt as if the party wasn't paying them enough attention. I think even now there might be some people who feel as if more needs to be done so that those people who turn out to support the party all the time feel more valued and feel more as if the party is thinking about them. And I think they have been communicating that to the party based on what the responses were from the stage. So I think that on both fronts they are listening. And I think that one of the things I've noticed about the JLP is that they're a party who really do take seriously people's opinions and ideas of what they do. And you usually see it in some action very soon after.
Yeah. So Roger, let me ask you, with the benefit of seeing the PNP conference in September, you've seen the JLP conference now in December, what conclusion are you drawing, if any at all, from the state of both of these parties heading into next year where the election campaign is set to crescendo and climax?
After 2 terms, roughly, in representational politics as the leading party, clearly they are the most exposed. They are going to be open to the most critique. And as a result, the People's National Party was able during their campaign and during their conference to showcase some of those clear inadequacies. I think they did that very well. The Jamaica Labour Party, in response to that, came back to staunchly defend their reputation and the work they have done over the past 2 terms. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to voters to really indicate whether or not they are convinced. Right? We've seen from recent polls that there's an uptick. People are looking at a change. People want change. I'm not sure if it is that the Jamaica Labour Party now is able to give the change it needs. There's a reset. There's a pivot that needs to happen. The People's National Party at the moment seem more able to do that than the Jamaica Labour Party at this time.
Yeah, are your views according with what Roger is saying, Dr. Spence, that based on how the land is laying now, the people are crying out for change and that the PNP is better placed to pivot to provide the kind of change that the Jamaican people want?
I wouldn't respond that way. I'd say in respect of how the 2 conferences looked, the JLP is setting itself up to be the party that looks different and that handles the business of politics differently. I think there was a deliberateness about the messaging and about the platform yesterday. It was more sober. I think one of today's dailies had on it something about not an entertainer in sight. I don't remember, I didn't see it myself, but I think I saw it being circulated on social media. I think Andrew Holness now becoming Dr. the most honorable Andrew Holness has a point to prove. I think his reputation has come under severe attack this year. And I think there is a way in which he is positioning himself as the leader who has the most integrity in terms of how he leads. And that might seem incongruous with the statement and about what happened at the Integrity Commission. But clearly, there's a deliberateness with how he's leading the JLP. There's a deliberateness about the messaging. There's a way in which the the conference was organized and the way in which most of the speakers chose not to speak about the JLP, the PNP, that one has to say it would appear that the JLP is pivoting and is being the change that people are asking for in terms of how we practice our politics.
Hear you on that. Thank you very much, Roger Ben. Thank you very much, Dr. Nadine Spence. That's all the time I have. Well, you've heard my political commentators, people who are seasoned and experienced in assessing the lay of the political land. They have slightly divergent views about where the parties stand respectively heading into the new year after seeing both of them at conference. What I will say is this: the show of force from the PNP in September, matched by the Labour rights on Sunday. But as one political commentator said on radio this morning, it's never about the size of the crowd at a party that you throw. It's only about what you say at the party and the kind of absorption that message gets from the people who you're intending to convince to support you at the ballot next year. I think there's a program that's necessary here on CVM TV on Lead Story, talking about how good a year has the JLP had in politics and governance this year, and how good a year has the PNP had in politics in 2024. To make a very interesting discussion, just to sum up all that we've seen so far, taking both the conferences into consideration. Look, the Labourites needed something to energize them, needed some strength going into the new year, into the Christmas season, and by golly, they did put on that show on Sunday to match what the PNP did in September. The politics is getting nice. Let's hope it stays civil, and we are in for a riveting ride all the way until the polls open and close, whenever next year the man with the power decides to call it. This is Lead Story here on CVM TV. I make way for Nico Lewis with the news at 7.
Small business owners and independent contractors get affordable insurance with Sagicor Pro Shield. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
Steve knows style.
That jacket! When was you in the Temptations? You are my alter ego.
And Steve gives in to his own temptation. Family Feud.
Brought to you by We Are the Caring Store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
Hey you know all the people in your business?
You should take advantage of CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 prime-time commercial spots.
That's...
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Small business owners and independent contractors get affordable insurance with Sagicor Pro Shield. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
CVM News at 7. Monday match night kicks off. We're taking you live on location. Young Journalist of the Year Raymond Gordon goes behind the JLP's 81st annual conference. The opposition responds to what it heard from the JLP stage. Later on, it's Small Biz, Big Dreams. And in sports, a preview of the exciting JPL matchup between Arnett Gardens and Veer United on this Monday match night on CVM Television.
is CVM News at 7 this Monday, November 25, 2024. I'm Nika Lewis. Thanks so much for having joined us. Well, it's the start of our Match Night Mondays, CVM's exclusive free-to-air coverage of the Jamaica Premier League. Exciting times. Of course, tonight we bring you an exciting matchup between Arnett Gardens and Vere United. And of course, we'll have for you right now, you're looking at a live shot of the Anthony Spalding Sports Complex. That's where the match will be played, and kickoff time is 7:45. So more in sports later on when you will hear from our reporter Ronaldo Adams, who is on location. To the news now. The Jamaica Labour Party pulled out all the stops on Sunday for its 81st annual conference, rallying supporters with bold promises and a call for a historic third term. But amid the cheer and the celebration, the party faces challenges that can't be ignored. Ramon Gordon caught up with the representatives on the ground, getting exclusive insights ahead of the next general elections.
CVM navigated seas of green on Sunday at the JLP's 81st annual conference, where speakers delivered with a unified call for a third term. Offstage, some of the party's key players engaged with our news team, seemingly not very upset by the recent losses at the municipal level.
Both seats are historically PNP seats, and therefore it's a tough call to ride over them.
And we did reduce the majority of the PNP significantly. And that is something that the People's National Party ought to be concerned about.
We don't feel too poorly about it. PNP and their proxies, their proxy candidates, they didn't do well, although they are allowed to play with the words about 2 out of 2 rather than 2 out of 4, which we know is their real statistic.
This stands in contrast to JLP leader Andrew Holness's earlier confidence, predicting victory in at least the Morant Bay division. Nationally, candidates are rallying for the polls, with political jabs in full swing.
The People's National Party, they practically hand me the seat when they sent Bunting to me, because he's not one of the most liked fellow.
When you go up against the PNP's Alfred Dawes, yes?
I want to know if it's Dr. Dawes or Deputy Mayor Alric Campbell or DJ Palmer, I'm not sure.
Beyond the JLP's platform is its commitment, it says, to greater grassroots efforts. Youth have become a prime target.
Jamaica now has a youth population, as in the majority of our people are under 40 years old. We have to find ways to engage them. We have to find ways to have the message resonate with them.
You have to look at what the expectations are. So young persons, they expect employment, housing. They want opportunities. When you talk to them on the street, those are some of the cries.
I think what you saw here today, the outpouring of young people, they're being engaged. We're going to do more, and they're going to carry us to the third term.
The JLP is banking on bold promises, including cutting electricity taxes and forgiving old water debts. Finance Minister Favour Williams says the tax cut will cost $1.5 billion annually, but insists it won't derail Jamaica's economic progress.
We have come a long way through successive governments, let me add that, as well, to bring down the debt to GDP. So we will continue on that fiscal conservative path.
The JLP's latest conference comes amid the backdrop of some unfavorable statistics. The People's National Party gaining a 9-point lead, according to a poll conducted in October. The governing party remains undaunted.
We have 49 seats now. The hill is actually harder for them to climb.
The Jamaica Labour Party is the better party, the better performing party, and we mean better for young people.
We are not looking to lose, and we will form the next government after the next general election.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
And despite the perceived struggles, Jamaica Labour Party supporters are expressing confidence in the party's ability to secure another win in the upcoming general elections. Britannia Witter tells us more.
Thousands of Jamaica Labour Party supporters gathered at the National Arena in Kingston for the party's 81st annual conference on Sunday, despite adverse weather conditions. Decked in green, party faithfuls from across the island arrived showing their continued support for the Jamaica Labour Party's agenda.
We have to come to a conference, we have to represent JLP, do the right now, so we have to there, straight up. Couldn't they know where else? Rain or sunshine, we have to there. Labour writing, no look, we not drop a button. it has stayed away and right through and we are make certain of that. And this conference speak for itself. Crowd couldn't be bigger than this. And we now go nowhere. As me say, rainfall, sunshine, we're out here. Shower.
Cheering and ringing bells for their party as they sought shelter under umbrellas with undeterred enthusiasm.
One party, Jamaica Labour Party, and Jones is the man. Him have the dream, him have the vision, him have the prosperity, and that it is. One party, Jamaica people, wise up. And if you know the goodness. A man calling say time come for what? One broker, him telling you what I do. One broker, one party, show a labor right.
The Andrew Holness-led administration will be seeking victory over the Mark Golding-led opposition People's National Party in the general election due 2025. If elected, the JLP will be leading the country for a historic 3 consecutive terms. Britannia Whittle, CVM News.
Meanwhile, the opposition spokesperson on finance, Julian Robinson, believes that the governing JLP is now scrambling ahead of the next general election. Here again is Britannia Witter.
The opposition has sharply criticized the government for its announcement of several initiatives at its 81st conference, accusing it of attempting to deflect attention from its years of unmet commitments.
The reality is they have been in office for almost 9 years. You know, I hear them saying he needs another term to get these things done. The reality is you have had 9 years. Why haven't you been able to do all the things that you're now promising? And quite frankly, you know, the polls show that they're losing support. The by-elections show that they're losing support. Every day people are complaining about the bad state of roads, the bad state of our hospitals, etc. And so I think people are fed up. So frankly, you know, they're the ones now coming with promises. You know, all these things the Prime Minister announced yesterday are things which are going to take place after April 1st, when the new financial year starts, 2025. They're 4 months out. So he's hoping to sell people on a promise that their lives are going to get better when he has been at the wicket for almost 9 years.
The government's latest promises include reducing electricity taxes, debt-free forgiveness on water bills, and new housing programs. Prime Minister Andrew Holness described these pledges as part of a broader vision to secure long-term prosperity for the country and its people. However, Robinson was quick to counter that the administration's track record with energy has been one of failure.
On the issue of energy, I mean, any reduction in the pressures of energy is welcome. But this is against the background of a government that has failed miserably to reduce the cost of energy. They have not introduced any new renewables into the grid. They have just completed a request for proposal and they have selected vendors. But for almost 9 years, you have done nothing to bring the cost of energy down. And now at the 11th hour, on the eve of a general election, you're dangling a reduction in GCT as a way to win people back.
The opposition's criticisms were backed by at least one local economist who took to social media to point out that the proposed GCT reduction for electricity will not benefit those who need it the most. Acknowledging the struggle, Robinson noted that the government has remained sluggish despite repeated promises.
The reality is that nobody is saying that any of these solutions are easy to implement because growth has been a problem for the country over a long period of time. But you at least need to acknowledge where you are and determine how you move forward. What we're seeing now is a belated attempt by this government, having failed over the 9 years, to now dangle these things in front of the electorate on the eve of an election.
Britannia Whittle, CVM News.
Well, almost 100 people are now without a home and some left nursing injuries after 3 fires raged in the Greenwich Town division of Southwest St. Andrew early Saturday morning. Their Member of Parliament visited the location, assessing the damage, offering support and appealing for help from the public. With more, here's Courtney Lewis.
It's a long road to recovery for over 100 people as fire ravaged sections of Southwest St. Andrew early Saturday morning. The fire affected Maho Drive, Majesty Garden, and Greenwich Farm. Residents in Majesty Gardens recounted their experience, some sustaining injuries in a bid to escape the blaze, including one man who is mentally challenged.
Weak, me nervous. Everything when me work and earn, brother, gone in a fire, brother. Me not know where to go. I want me walk the road the whole night last night and pray for daylight. But he was sleeping while me working. So when the fire wake him up, me tried to grab out some clothes and the whole stock dropped down upon him.
Oh, I don't know what I got to do, but why? I don't know what saved me last night. I don't know if God saved me, but somebody saved me.
Southwest St. Andrew Member of Parliament Dr. Angela Brownberg noted over 40 families have been affected, losing school supplies, uniforms, and workmen losing tools and equipment.
It is devastating. Just thinking about all that is going to be required to help them get back on their feet. In all cases, we have had children who are in school who have also lost everything. So it's the trauma for them as well as losing everything. We need help with food, clothes, shelter, just about every single thing.
She makes an earnest appeal for physical and psychological support.
We are making an appeal because that's what we're really going to have to do to see for some of the tools if we can get persons to kind of get those back. We're looking for clothes, we're looking for food, we're looking for shelter and housing to build it back up. And in the meantime, some people don't even have anywhere to stay. Others are staying with family, so we have to try and build back as soon as possible.
Efforts are being made to clear the debris. The cause of the fires is not yet known. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
And just ahead of our break, just a reminder that Monday Match Night kicks off tonight on CVM TV. Stay with us.
Win a barrel of things, valued at over $400,000 with Digicel. When you gift your loved ones a 7-day plan for just $1,100 in My Digicel, share one more gift, one more moment, one more smile. Digicel, better connected this Christmas.
Slay your space with Course today. Enough prices and giveaways. Gifts under Course Christmas tree. Shop at Course to get entries.
Spend $65,000 or more at Course on cash or credit and automatically enter to be one of 4 lucky winners this Christmas. Shop at Course in-store or online between October 28 to December 21 and you could win new things for the new year. A home upgrade, bedroom, lounge set and dining set, Samsung fridge, stove, microwave, washer and dryer.
Play your space with Course today.
Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to CVM News at 7. Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, Richard Biles, says the Jamaican economy is expected to grow between 1% to 3% in 2025, while noting the battering dealt to the various sectors by hurricanes and natural disasters in 2024. This as he shares projections for the inflation rate and possible risks given international factors. More in this report. With the central bank sharing that inflation and core inflation have been within range while highlighting possible factors influencing these movements, Governor Richard Biles notes there are some positives, even if the projected growth for 2024 has been met with contractions.
Let me highlight the positive development of inflation being lowered firmly within the target range of 4 to 6%, with the expectation that Jamaicans will benefit from a stable and predictable rate of price increases over the next 2 years. Secondly, I also want to reaffirm Bank of Jamaica's commitment to achieving its primary mandate of price stability by maintaining inflation in the 4 to 6% corridor. And thirdly, foreign exchange market stability is a significant contributor to price stability, and the bank is equally committed to maintaining stability in the foreign exchange market.
Notwithstanding this, the governor shared likely risks to the inflation rate beyond, in some cases, the control of the local market. Factors which would seemingly include how our trade partners up north respond in coming months when a new president takes the reins.
Inflation is projected to broadly remain within the bank's target range over the next 2 years. The current outlook for inflation is lower than the previous forecast that was shared with you in August 2024. This downward revision mainly reflects lower transport-related and processed food price inflation. However, the balance of risk to the inflation forecasts are skewed to the upside, which means that inflation is likely to be above the forecast. There is increased uncertainty related to potential economic policy changes among Jamaica's main trading partners, which could have adverse implications for investment and remittance inflows, as well as inflation expectations.
That's in relation to Jamaica. He also notes higher inflation could result from continued uprisings beyond local shores.
Higher inflation could also result from further escalation in geopolitical tensions, which could adversely impact international supply chains. Worse than expected weather conditions in Jamaica could also influence higher inflation. While information suggests that private sector wage increases have stabilized at their pre-COVID rate, there have been emerging reports of labor market pressures in particular sectors.
Meanwhile, those risks aside, the BOJ boss reasons overall things are expected to improve for the country come 2025.
The bank projects that the change in real economic activity will fall in the range of -1% to positive 0.5%, while real GDP for the financial year 25-26 is projected to grow by between 1% and 3%. The projection for 24-25 largely reflects the anticipated adverse impact of Hurricane Beryl on the economy and is underpinned by contractions for agriculture, forestry and fishing, and construction in particular. The outlook for financial year 25-26 reflects the view that there will be a fairly rapid rebound in economic activity following the declines of financial years 24-25.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, has stepped in to provide counseling and services for support to a teen girl who was exploited by boys in a now viral video. The agency has condemned the incident, calling it a grave concern. With more, here's Shante McNeil.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, is condemning the actions of the 18 boys seen in a viral social media video where a 13-year-old St. Catharines schoolgirl was sexually assaulted. Investigations into the incident, which surfaced online last week, revealed that the 13-year-old girl was lured to a house by the male students who physically abused and sexually assaulted her. The boys have since been charged with several offenses, including rape, forcible abduction, knowing and producing child pornography, and distributing child pornography. In a statement on Monday, CPFSA CEO Laureate Adams Thomas says these behaviors must never be condoned.
We strongly condemn this despicable act that was meted out to this young girl. The levels of violence we continue to see being displayed by our children are of grave concern. These kind of maladaptive behaviors in our schools and communities must not be condoned, and we must teach our boys that masculinity is not synonymous with abuse.
The agency is currently providing the victim with psychological support.
Our investigating team located the young girl and her family and met with them on Sunday, November 24th, and provided brief counseling. The child was referred to the Victim Services Division for additional support, and she's also to receive a medical assessment today, Monday, January 25th. And we will continue to work with the family through our Children and Family Support Unit.
The agency continues to encourage citizens to report any kind of abuse using the 24-hour child abuse hotline 211. Shante McNeil, CVM News.
Well, just before we head to the break, we must say hearty congratulations to the PAJ's 2024 Young Journalist of the Year, our very own Ramon Gordon, and all the other awardees. Stay with us. The business segment is up right after this.
Let's take a trip to the future. Join the JPS Foundation at the Climate Action Conference and Expo on November 30 at the Chinese Benevolent Association. Hosted by CJ Sparks and Paula Ann Porter-Jones. Explore Sustainability City, meet our Power Up Energy Club Innovation Challenge finalists, and check out career options at the Career Corner. Test drive electric cars and dive into cutting-edge tech. Plus, our immersive teaching tunnel will show you how you can take action for a sustainable future. Follow us on IG and Facebook at JPS Foundation to learn more.
True Finishes is your trusted specialist for interior wall supplies and expert installation. For almost 2 decades, we have been the go-to source for commercial and residential projects. Suppliers of interior and exterior boards, acoustic ceiling systems, installation, FRP, skirting tools, and more. Visit our showroom at 130 to 132 Maxwell Avenue or WhatsApp us at 876-461-3094 to find out more.
This is a public service announcement. Yo, JPS have something for light up your Christmas. 101 lucky customers are gonna get real happy with them light bill paid this Christmas. That's over $2 million in light. Use the My JPS app to view your bill, set your budget, and check your usage, and you could win. Download and start using the My JPS app today. JPS, pouring what matters this Christmas. Promotion ends December 27. Conditions apply.
KFC's popcorn chicken, now available in barbecue. KFC, it's finger licking good. The Time by KFC.
Thanks for staying with us. We take a quick look now at regional and international news.
We begin with the news in the region. In Grenada, a major rally for the new National Party and the convention to follow. Political leader Dr. Keith Mitchell has drawn the lines, making clear some things he would not accept. He said one certainty is that as long as he lives, some will never get to taste political power. Here's the GBN.
You get a chance to come in and make a contribution, you want to take over, we party. Not so. It don't work so. And they gave an impression that if me am the problem, I am the problem, your behavior is the problem.
The battle lines are drawn as the countdown continues to the much anticipated convention of the new National Party on December 15th. 2 years later than expected, the highlight of the convention will be who emerges as the leader of the 40-year-old political party and who will challenge the current Prime Minister in the general elections. 2 contenders have emerged thus far, confirming their intention to contest the party's leadership. Peter David, a former government minister and member of the National Democratic Congress Party, who is now aligned with the NNP, and Emmeline Pear, a long-standing member of the NNP and former government minister.
In the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, several communities in West Trinidad experienced flash flooding after heavy rains on Saturday. Motorists along the Western Main Road in Carinage, near the police station, found themselves navigating through the flood waters. More from TTT News.
Vehicles heading south along the Diego Martin Highway were also forced to proceed with caution. These images are from the flooding along the Diego Martin Main Road in Mount Coco. The car park at the shops of Maraval in Maraval became a virtual lake with several vehicles and businesses flooded, while there were also reports of a landslide on the North Coast Road to Maracas.
In international news, a far-right pro-Russia candidate has taken a surprise lead in the first round of Romania's presidential election, with more than 99% of votes counted. Ultra-nationalist Călin Georgescu was